Yes, guys, welcome back to another F1 23. I know it's 2025, but yeah, on 2023, on controller, on the beginner to champion series that we have going on here. And if you're along for the journey, if you've made it to episode 3, then give yourself a pat on the back and a like, because this is a journey that we're all on, I guess. And mainly for me, and today I'm at Melbourne at the Australian Grand Prix, or maybe it's the Melbourne Grand Prix, but yeah, as you can see, this is my first lap. I'm just going to be showing you all the first laps on this first season of the series, because we'll be looking back and being like laughing at myself, being like, look how rubbish this guy was, and now he's driving around like Michael Schumacher, So yeah, or maybe it'll just end up like Mick Schumacher at Jeddah, where he split his car into, I think it was Jeddah anyway. But yeah, just figuring out the racing lines, where the braking points are, the gear changes. As this track is, the game says it's a very easy track, but I personally disagree. I think the fast chicanes can be quite challenging, and to be honest, there's something about this track where, compared to Bahrain and Jeddah, it feels like the tyres aren't gripping up quite as well. I'm not sure if it's because we're in the Melbourne part of Australia and it's not quite as hot as the Middle East, so the track temperatures are lower, or maybe it's because the car setup is wildly different compared to what I'm used to, because I do use the online ones that I see and just put them on while I'm still learning the game. But yeah, that first one, the first lap, was nothing to really be happy about. But here we go. Here's the best proper lap on this practice session. This time I did 30, 30, 40 on laps on the practice. I wanted that 40 at the end, just so I'm practice for the race, and not feeling rusty or anything. But first corner, done pretty well. I'm still, on these first sessions, I'm still very cautious, not quite pushing the car as much as these pro drivers do, or anyone who's actually relatively good at the elite settings with no traction control and manual gearbox and no ABS. But we're doing these chicanes pretty well. I mean, we're braking a little bit early, but we are 6/10 up on a time that I set previously. There is no I haven't done time trial on this beforehand, even with the much easier settings on, with the automatic gearbox, traction control and ABS. We're sliding around there. I think that this track, you'll see a lot of that, and I was experiencing a lot of moments where the car spun, but great rotation on that corner, and that's the main thing. It's terrible there, sliding, the back end kicked out. That's the main thing. It's with this track, I feel like there's good balance between not getting too much understeer and oversteer to the point where you're just using the oversteer as good rotation instead. But yeah, I mean, this last couple of corners are absolutely killer for oversteer. And yeah, we go on to the second session. So I picked the Red Bull. I was obviously lost to my own world, and I didn't pick the Haas, as we are driving as Mazepin, who I've realised I have spelt the name wrong. I'm sorry, he hasn't been in Formula 1 for quite a few years now. But that corner's done very well. Very tricky corner to predict the braking zone, but I used the little flags, the telescreens at the top left, to know when to brake. Done that corner very well. It's got to be very fast speed through there to pretty much make the most out of the car on this DRS zone. There are 4 DRS zones on this track. It's quite a lot. With this corner, I take it down to 6th, because once again it's very high speed. Could almost be faster, much faster for my ability through there, but Once again, my consistency isn't quite there yet. We are on the 3rd episode after all. That corner done fairly well, apart from the snap of oversteer towards the end as I put on the throttle way too aggressively. But how do we do on this last couple turns? It's very rather neat. Lost a bit of time, but 2.5 100ths up from a previous time that was set during this session. But I mean, it's improvement. It's improvement. And this is the last session before the race, where I did 40 laps. So the best one was 38. But guys, I'll be honest with you. I was struggling on this practice session, really struggling, and it's not a good feeling to have before the race. But let's see how I do on this. I'm already 2 tenths down. That first corner, when you're pushing it, it can be very slippery. That's what it feels like. But can we keep it neat on these next couple corners? Yeah, fairly. I mean, maybe the tyre did go over the line, but the game didn't punish me there. How is this done? Very quickly. Actually an improvement, which can be crucial. But I think maybe the gear changes coming out of the corner didn't quite maximise the amount of momentum coming out of it. But how do we do here? Smooth, very smooth, and it's consistent to the last lap you just saw. But yeah, all these corners, they count a lot because there's not loads of corners on this track. It's probably why the game says it's a very easy track, which I say actually all the tracks in this game are pretty difficult. And loads of oversteer coming out of that corner, and yeah, I know guys, this was the best time for this session, but I'm 6 tenths down, which it's unbelievable, to be honest. It's way too slidey, and just getting so much oversteer, way too aggressive on the throttle I feel like, and you know, just not great enough. And here I'm on the warm-up lap and Sargent crashes into me in Q1 on the first warm-up lap of the session. You know, he's not on a fast lap or anything, you know, he's warming up as well, and he decides he's going to take me on this corner. You know, as soon as I saw him coming, I tried to steer away. You'll actually see, yeah, just sort of tried to steer away slightly, but tried to keep to the right, but he caused a little collision there, which gave us both a 5 place grid drop. Just not ideal, but this is the lap. This is the lap which will prove where I will land on the grid. And I'm aiming for, you know, about a 1:20 here. And how do we do? What slowed the car way too much down there, braked way too early, so didn't carry enough momentum through those 2 corners. And how do we do here? Not too bad, not too bad, lots of momentum. And we're going to open up the DRS on this straight. But you know, I'm worried on this track. You know, it could rain, it can, you know, all sorts can happen. Because, yeah, something like rain is something that we haven't anticipated yet, and you know, it's technically a street circuit. I know we're in Albert Park, but you know, the barriers and all that good stuff does pose a bit of a threat to if we spin, which on this track I am very prone to. And I go wide on this corner, but the game didn't penalise me for it. And oversteer once again. That's a very difficult corner to link up compared to the last one. And it's a 1:23.5, which is just not good enough. But we're ahead of Sargent and Russell, I believe, actually. But we've broken our front wing on the next warm-up lap of qualifying towards the end. And that's absolutely horrendous. We have made an absolutely massive mistake once again. And yeah, I couldn't get the car to stop in time, so I just thought, you know what, I'll just retire the car You know, why not? And this is the race. I'm coming up to my spot. Ricardo's going slow as a snail, but I managed to, I mean, have an acceptable stop on my grid marker there. Still need to change. I can't speak, but lights out and away we go. Better start than the last two races, where I'm not too all over the place, but slightly was. And I had to do the dive bomb here, but I get hit on my side pod as debris flies in the air from cars ahead. And once again, we've had an accident on the first corner. But what happened? Yeah, Stroll. I mean, he was getting pressed by Ricardo from the outside. It was 3 wide. It's really my fault, to be honest, once again. And, you know, my floor is damaged, but I make the move on Sonoda. And, yeah, get understeer there. But then I get a 3-second penalty. Even though this was my first warning. I'm not too sure what happened there. I don't understand why the game decided to give me a few second penalty, but I mean it's a miserable start, and you know, because of the floor damage, the Williams are right behind me, which is not a nice feeling. But can I outbrake Albon? We make the move, and we're still ahead, which is fantastic. Great driving from us there, as they're much faster on the straight. I mean, they are the Williams car, and I do have floor damage. And coming up to the final corner of the lap, and I spin, sort of. It's kind of a drift, but then I re-emerge, and my front wing's broken. And yeah, that was my fault once again. You'll see from the replay here, totally lost the car. Didn't see Sargent coming down on my right in my mirror, or the indicator thingy, I guess I should say, and yeah, caused a accident, which I mean, it's not great. You can see it from Sargent's perspective. I just sort of shoved him off track a little bit, but he was kind of equally erratic there. But I thought, you know what, I don't really see my race getting much better from here, so I ended up just retiring the car. I was driving poorly, just having terrible 40 laps in the practice, and just not much better in the race. Can't keep the car under control on this track, and you know what, I just thought it's better that I don't have another 20 more terrible laps and just, you know, ruin my confidence. Turns out Valtteri Bottas won the race in an Alfa Romeo, which congrats to him. But that would be the end of this video. Thank you for watching.